Take number 2. After it crashed, we are back, and I hope this time around it will go well. I will give you mouse control as usual. Do you have mouse control now? Perfect! Let's do this. Do you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. Shall we begin here?
Yeah, we should.
Okay, sounds good. So we were talking about why I built the recon, and I think it was just my recon's deep, and I want to know more about what's going on because I saw mech and inferred APC, so I'm just want to know more. The tank here is to like defend all the infantry, and it looks like you actually built a mech on the previous turn from this base.
Yeah.
On big maps like this, I basically never build mechs unless they have an APC ready to carry them somewhere.
Don't worry about that.
Okay. I'll mind my own business.
You know, I trash talk the mechs a lot, so if I didn't add any plan, trust me, that mech would not exist.
Oh, okay, that's an APC, okay.
Mech are still trash for me, but hey, I am Sammy, so let's overuse APC and mechs.
I don't think she can though, like unless the opponent goes medium tanks. Okay, so I saw. So you did APC here, which looks like it's gonna move the mech forward. Recon here, which I don't know. Apparently you despise, so I don't know why you built that. But
I need vision.
oh yeah, that's right.
I want to see what's going on. I don't have a recon yet, and I feel like if I make it on top, it won't be as useful right now because I don't have any offensive unit in the top part of the map. So I was like, recon are like supporting unit, so they need to be like with tanks because on their own, yes, early in the game they are really good, but later on the game, if they are just alone sitting there, it's kind of a sitting duck waiting to die.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, definitely when it gets into the later parts of the game, you want your recon to have stuff around it so that you can like, hit what you see instead of just it's kind of ideal. Okay, so the first thing I do is I move forward. I'm like, okay, let me just talk about what I saw. So I had just seen the APC move out of the forest, so I'm like, okay, the APC was really deep. This guy goes over here. APC deep, Sammy probably has like, another APC mech somewhere. Let's just dive and get some information. And I see 2 tanks. I'm like, okay, well, goodbye, recon. You have served me well.
When I've seen that, I was like, oh, I will get the first blood of the game. Hell yeah! Against DPSI, I get the first blood.
Yeah.
That's
and I attacked from the road too because I didn't know what the damage was, so I was like, yeah, I'll just do extra damage from the road. And I saw this, I was like, oh, damn it, I have to try this game.
that was the moment of pride for me. I was like, hell yeah, I got a kill on DPSI.
Yeah, so I make that move, and then I look back and I'm like, okay, what do I have? Tank and a recon versus mech, tank. Oh no. So I was like, this is not a good sign, so I need to and I don't even have enough money for 2 tanks this turn, so I'm like, okay, this recon really not feeling... Well, the good thing is I see the recon's about to die, so I'm like, okay, well, this guy gets to replace it, so...
You had him ready.
Yeah, he was ready, yeah. He just didn't know it yet, and now he knows, so... So now we do some moves here. So there's like an interesting question here. So this guy has the opportunity to dive deep for this city, which feels pretty nice. And then I was thinking do I bring the T-copter? Where do I put this infantry? Because I could put I could bring him all the way up here and go for this city. or maybe just go for like be more humble and go for this city. I don't remember what I do. Okay, so it looks like I be humble and go for this city instead of diving deep for here, which I could have gotten actually if I was feeling feisty. But the issue with going that deep is that it would be out of the range of my tank. So this is the more conservative approach. Oh yeah, and when I saw these two tanks and the mech APC, I realized that like there's no way you have anything over here. So I'm able to like push forward aggressively with all my infantry and probably be okay. So this tank feels like it's out of position because it has nothing to hit. But on the other hand, it's like it has free reign to do anything it wants to for like 2 turns. Maybe like one and a half turns. I don't know. So yeah, obviously tank here, and then looks like I'm gonna have 4K in the bank, but that's okay because I'll spend it all. I can do with 20K. You can do tank or artillery, and that's kind of what I was thinking. So actually, you show some restraint here and not immediately killing the recon, which that's what I do. Like, as soon as I have a nice trade, I just like first move, get the trade. But no, you actually calmly capture some cities, which is somehow more bad-mannered than just like taking the recon. So, yeah. Okay, so you take the recon there, and actually going pretty deep with the tank, which that makes sense. This tank is in range, but I don't have vision of what's going on, so like.
And I got 2
tanks.
tanks.
Made it even more infuriating.
So even if you decide to first strike me, since I got the advantage of the number, my counterattack will probably kill your tank.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was seeing red though, so I was just ready to go punch a tank. I mean, from a road, it's like 120, so that's
110. You don't have your tower yet.
Oh, that's right. I don't have my tower yet. So it does like 60 damage, and then it probably dies from the full HP tank from the city. So that's not a good option after all. But that's what I felt like doing. Okay, so you move your mech like really far forward into this forest, and I didn't see this at all. So this is like a pretty aggressive switch, which is pretty interesting. Okay, so you move the mech back sort of onto the mountain, but you know, whatever it's... Oh, and you get a boost out of it. That's nice. Okay, and then you do anti-air here and tank. And that's a full build. So for some reason, I feel like the airport just kind of more naturally goes up this side because it's supporting a 1 base, so it's like it's more of a help to the army, and it's also like a way of stopping any pushes from the 2 base side. If they don't have an anti-air and they push too far forward, you can just like hit back with a B-copter and just like hope they don't have an anti-air and then just get a free hit. So
that's a good point. I didn't thought about that. So this is very good to know for future game. Thank you very much, man.
That's just a guess that I have. I feel like B-copters kind of go this way on average. When they have nothing better to do, they just kind of go this way, I think.
I just see them being splashed in the army to support the tanks.
Yeah, I mean, you could take them anywhere, really, but it just feels like they get to the action closer by going north. Whereas if they go this way, they need to take, like, 3 turns before they get to hit something. Okay, so I sort of capture a lot this turn. So, like, you know, I have a lot of forward properties that I'm capturing at once, which is nice because then you don't get interrupted as easily. Oh yeah, and this was kind of silly. Like I thought that I was going to build an infantry here, but I actually built an artillery instead. So this T-copter is just awkwardly waiting for an artillery to get inside of it. I'm pretty conservative with my tank. I just kind of plop it in a nearby forest because I don't want it to get scouted and then killed. That would be like the worst case scenario. So I like put my tank in a very safe, very, very overly safe place because I'm just like, I don't even want to worry about it. And then, as I said, I go tank, artillery, and then no infantry to go on the T-copter, which is a little awkward. But as I'm making these, I'm like, okay, between these 3 captures, at least one's going to get interrupted, right? Just like, that was my guess, because that's what normally happens when I play on this map. But actually, yeah, both of these captures are safe, and I was really happy about that. I was pretty delighted to see that I get to get all these 3 properties, which are always pretty contested normally. I guess the comm tower you usually get for free, but not always. So, okay, I move up with a recon, and like, I don't see the tanks anymore, and I'm like, oh god. So now I have to like move forward pretty carefully with my stuff. And so I actually have 4 tanks here. So like, this is kind of the, this is my strong side. I'm going to outproduce you move. So I'm going to have more tanks than you, and just like, just win based on that.
I laugh because this reminds me of the horror movie when you don't know where's the villain, and you're like, where is he? Where is he? Lurking in the shadow.
Yeah.
The fabulous infantry wall from Deegis.
Oh, up here?
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of infantry here. If I recall correctly, don't you attack this turn? Yeah, there's some attacks that happen. Okay, so I see the mech there, and I have an infantry here, and I'm like, ooh, don't mind if I take a shot at him, because I know how valuable mechs are. But I see you have 2 APCs, 2 mechs. Actually, I don't see this mech yet, but I see 2 APCs, and it's like blocking the mech, and I'm like, oh gosh, so annoying. Where are the tanks? Why are there 2 mechs here? And then I start getting like pot shotted, and I'm like,
At that point in the game, I was proud. I was like, am I doing good? Am I smart? Am I beating DPSI for once? I got very excited about these engagement and these strats.
Yeah, okay, it looks like you must have built it. Yeah, there's the B-copter up in the upper right. So you did B-copter, anti-air. So you have 2 anti-air B-copter. I feel like that's actually like, I feel like this anti-air should be a tank. I think that 2 anti-air B-copter is a little too much anti-air support.
That's funny because yesterday when I did my video with Countby, he told me my anti-air behavior are sometimes good, sometimes bad, but having more than not enough is always better.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's fair enough. It's just more than what I do. I'm kind of lax with that. In fact, like, I saw the anti-air and it reminded me, I was like, wait a minute, you can build B-copters. So I was like, oh shit, I build anti-air B-copter. Forgot about those units. Okay, so I see here I'm going to attack from the road to get the road bonus with the tower, so that does a lot of damage. It brings it down to 2, and then there's like a very, very high chance for a KO here. If it's not, maybe it's guaranteed actually based on the damage before. So here's another road bonus. I'm thinking like, okay, never mind. I did the thing I didn't. Okay, and I remember this guy was up here, so there's a 2-hit KO here. So So that's like already a fair amount of dead units that happened this turn, which feels great. I moved the artillery up, kind of trying to get it as active as I can this turn. Then another infantry shot. This one not the best. It's just like Sammy's really strong. So I kind of like see all this strength in the center, and I see the tank here. So I'm like, I kind of want to move more this direction. Just see if I can like get you overextended like you are here, and then win in this part of the map. So yeah, it looks like I got a KO here, and then I actually decided to get aggressive and go for this tank kill. I guess what I see is I see tank, anti-air, and like all these mechs and stuff, and I'm thinking he probably doesn't have that much more stuff happening. And I also have these two guys as backup, so like this is, I think, a safe enough engagement. But it's like kind of borderline. Okay, this guy, I remember not knowing what to do with him, so I just plopped him in a forest so that you don't know where he is. Attacking from the road here with this infantry, I don't remember if I did it or not.
I don't think so. Yeah.
No, I stick him on the tower, yeah.
And I think that was a good call.
I just felt like it was too deep. I think the split would have been like 6-6 or something, which just doesn't really feel like what you want to do.
Especially when you enter like my territory, you may lose your unit. That thing, man, I was shocked to see it that early. I was like,
yeah,
what? Already?
I concealed it too, yeah. Yeah, so I was thinking like, all right, I have a good core of 4 tanks here. I'm against Sammy, so she probably has some mechs all over the place. So I want to tech to heavy tank like kind of faster than normal because they're not affected by mechs really. So I was like, I have good money for it. I can almost full buy with neo tank infantry. So I was like, hey, might as well kind of go for a surprise. There's no way she has a bomber this early. Just kind of go for something. Try to and like neo tanks are always good. They're
I know like, they are like
they're one just of excellent units.
They are one of my favorite unit I never use. They're really good, but I never use them because I feel like most of the time you want to outnumber your enemy, and like medium tank is like just very effective. But sometimes I'm like, oh, today I really want that neo tank because I know they are really good and really strong. They have that punch. But yeah, especially in iPhone. Actually, in iPhone, the meta is medium tank spam, but in FUG, neo tank is actually a very viable option, I think.
Oh, in Hyphens, I much prefer neo tank.
Really? That's funny.
Yeah.
Because so far I haven't played that much iPhone. I played maybe like 5 games and 5 ingoing, so like I played like roughly 10 games. So far the meta is really medium tank spam. But I'm surprised you tell me neo tank are really good in iPhone. I'm surprised because I feel like the meta is really like medium tank spam.
No, I think that I think neo tanks are. I mean, I think that I like we've always been saying like for a long time that neo tanks were the better offensive unit, and medium tanks were the better defensive unit. And I feel like I didn't really see that until Lillian started playing Hyphens last year about this time, and Lillian like really showed me how to use the neo tank, and like won a lot of games by going early neo tank and Hyphens and just like crushing with it, kind of like going for the neo tank bomber tech line. And then in Hyphens, actually, like there's a long history of like the old the old fog greats went heavy on Neotanks on this map. Blickwinkle and WIJ, they were both big fans of Neotank here. So yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking when I went Neotank, and I was like, you know, good against the mechs. I probably outnumber in tanks in this area. I can just get a heavy tank out, no bomber, I bet, and just get like look for a great first strike and just like have a really strong punch. Okay, so I see that tank dies, and I'm like, okay, mild bummer, but as long as this guy doesn't get hit, I'm positive. I think like I'm coming out ahead in the engagement. Okay, I see the mech go into the forest, and I'm like, oh god, oh god.
My artillery!
Please don't have another tank. So you go pretty aggressive with this counterattack, actually diving on a infantry with a mech, which is like really aggressive. So yeah, this one actually does not work out for you, and this is where I get a foothold back in the game. Okay, so I'm thinking like, how can I optimize to get a good arty shot, a good infantry shot on the mech. I have 3 tanks here. There's 1 tank here. There's an anti-air target potentially. I have power soon. Like, there's a lot to think about. And then I noticed this B-copter can hit from the road onto the mech with power, and I was like, okay, I got to get power this turn because it's gonna open a lot of doors for me. So I'm thinking, okay, how can I charge my power? That was really risky. I probably should have had power to do that move. Yeah, that was pretty risky. So I attack with a tank in the center here, and now I have power. And actually, I probably should have attacked this tank with this tank. There are kind of some... This could have been optimized a bit. Oh, yeah, and I have the option to cripple the anti-air too, which feels great. So this infantry scouts, then B-copter hits from the road.
Oh.
And artillery hits, and I'm like, okay, this felt great. Like, excellent. Feels awesome. So now what it comes down to is like, how can I finish off some of these... Ooh, a little bit of lag. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So now I'm thinking like, how can I finish off these units without dying? So sort of like a safe attack there, and I don't get to kill this mech, but it's not the worst. Also, I'm kind of thinking like,
how did you see that infantry?
We can go back a turn and then forward a turn, maybe.
Because it's in a forest.
I got trapped, I think, and maybe the trapped animation doesn't show. But
yeah, you got trapped.
Yeah, this guy goes back to heal, which is great. I do some like pretty forward captures. This one being the craziest. I feel like if I can put this infantry here capturing, then I kind of force. It might take some pressure off of my tanks because they feel pretty far forward right now, and I secretly don't have any backup to this.
And you don't expect me to use my power as well.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting Victory March.
That's funny. You know why? I hate Victory March. I know it's broken. I know it's really good. But I see Victory March as more like a endgame move to seal a victory or to break a stalemate. But I do think her power is much more useful because Sammy is good early in the game, and the longer the game will be, the worse she becomes, because at some point the direct unit are like the center force of your army. Like early in the game, the capture game is very important, that's why she's really good. but the longer the game will be, the worse she becomes, like against any COs, except maybe Grim, because Grim is just trash. But anyway, what I mean by there is Victory March may be really crazy OP, but when I see a Sammy player just waiting for the Victory March, I know the guy relies too much on it, and I'm less scared by him than a player that just use double time most of the time.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Well, I think the thing is too, like you're not playing in a way that is Victory March friendly because you're trading off infantry for infantry.
Yeah.
And like your own infantry are dying in the process, whereas you want your Victory March infantry to live at like 2 HP, like this dude.
I never count on Victory March. I really like use Victory March in few cases where I am already winning and I want to seal a victory, or if there's a stalemate and we are like even in numbers because for some reason I haven't used my power because there was no good way to use it, then I will consider Victory March. But I consider myself like a semi player because I do understand how she works, and I may not be the best one, but I still have a good understanding of her playstyle, and that leads me to believe like I'm a semi player, and as I mentioned earlier, the power for me is much better as semi than or super because it's 3 stars and you can get good value out of it.
Yeah, I think in this, like in the current situation, I kind of agree with double time, I guess. Kinda. But like really like I mean, all that's happened in the last few turns, like if we go here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 infantry. If you had Victory March right now, you would like destroy me.
Yeah, but
But
it's late. I had like 1 star charged.
but now after a few turns, you're down to like 3.5 infantry, and
I I think
the issue is
the
issue is that even if you had Victory March, you could only capture like a few cities.
yeah the Victory March playstyle is really like be cautious, don't like throw your stuff to kill other stuff, don't do trade, like play really safe. And in my own opinion, I know it's a good way to play, but it's not very fun. It's not like entertaining. It's just boring. You wait, your thing charge, and at some point you're like, oh, it's ready. Let's pop it. I just don't like that. I like dynamic games, and maybe that's why I suck. But I mean, I want some
I
action.
know the feeling. I know the feeling.
I want some action. I cannot just sit there and say, look, I build up my forces. I make one big dead ball, and then I dead ball you. Nah. I want to smash things.
Yeah, fair enough.
In some maps, when it's in HQ race, then it's very different. I dead ball you because I want to HQ race you. But this map is not an HQ race at all.
Okay, so you power, and I actually breathe like a slight sigh of relief because then I don't have to like stick something on my HQ all game. It's a good feeling. So tank hits, and I'm like, okay, bummer. And then, okay, so like a few more vehicle attacks. I'm thinking like, okay, well, if both of my tanks survive, then I'm like in really good shape here. So, okay, now this right here, I think is actually, I think if you go for this tank, it's more crippling.
Really?
I think so.
Okay.
It just felt like, so if you think about it, like you can either take 4 tank damage and a kill, or you can do 5 tank damage and like spread it out. So I have like, so it's like an 8, 4, 8, 4, 10. And then it's like in that situation, I guess my B-copter rotates over,
Okay,
and then tank hits tank, and then yeah.
I understand your point, and I do think in this specific case it could have been great. But here's my thought process while making these decisions. My first game with Countby, I believe it was my first game with him or my second game with him, I cannot remember, but that was one of the first few times I fought him. I played as Sammy, and the thing I learned from this game, and that thing really helped me out a lot on improving my Sammy games and my Sammy strats, is unit count is very important with her. Like, it's important with all seals, but Sammy and Grit are like two seals that, like, the moment they fall behind in terms of unit count, that's the moment they lose, because they cannot really come back in the race, because they just don't have a good enough day-to-day to like come back, or like their power and super are not like good enough to place them back in the race. And after the crazy turn you did before that, killing like one of my mech and a lot of my infantry, I felt like I was falling behind in terms of unit count. So I was like, I need to affect his unit count the best way I can to just survive. Because if I just scratch his units, can either remove them to repair them, or he can just like counterattack and cripple me even more in my unit count. So following that thought process, I was like, I need to affect directly his unit count. That's my only option to survive, because I am Sammy, and if I fall behind, well, I lost. And I know it was looking really bad already for me at that point. I was like, I will still try, maybe I can surprise him with something. But at that point I knew I lost. So
well, you did surprise me. I just felt like it was a good surprise for me. Not all surprises are good for you. But maybe like a different way of improving it would be attack with this tank from the city. That would definitely.
You're right. I didn't thought about that. And
that would help out a lot.
That's really good, and I think I didn't thought about that because I'm like the artificial intelligence in the game. The first unit I see, I touch it and I move it. So the first unit I was like, okay, that's my tank, I will move the tank. Okay, the infantry is right beside the tank, I will move the infantry and shoot the other infantry.
I feel that.
And you see, my infantry was blocking the building, so my first target was the tank, and I was like, okay, I need to move the tank and shoot. I didn't thought about like the best course of option. I was just like, tank, move, attack.
Yeah. Well, it's hard too when something's blocking the city. You just like don't think about that tile. So yeah, I think if you would have attacked from the city, it's like a little bit like, not only is it higher defensive terrain, but it's also like closer to your stuff. Like, your stuff should be over here.
Yeah.
And if you're attacking closer to your bases, then I have to go further to hit it, and you don't have to go as far to reinforce it.
Yeah, I think my tank would be at 9 HP instead, so that was like really the best option, but my brain was just not there.
Yeah, for sure. Okay,
but so, yeah, you're right. That was like the best course of option.
Because I mean, the way that I see it is like, just draw a box right here, and it's like tank versus tank, and you have nothing supporting these tanks except for one helicopter.
Yeah,
it just feels like a suicide attack.
Yeah.
So I guess I see this right here, and I'm going, don't mind if I do. Okay, so your B copter is it's like one tile out of vision. And you're double timing, so everything does a crazy amount of damage. Okay, and previously you built a Neo tank. So that happens to be like a really good setup for you because you have a Neo tank around to deal with my Neo tank, and you built it early enough that this guy isn't going to get very many free hits.
And I also bought it because I felt like I was falling behind you in terms of tank power, because I was like, okay, he got the first strike on my tanks and he was able to take the tank lead, so I needed to take up, because the moment you feel like you are out tank, that's the moment you should like take up. Sometimes you should take up before this happens, so this not happen, but like the moment you feel like you're behind, you should take up. That's like the survival way to do stuff. If you don't, you're just lost.
Tank up or tech up.
Yeah.
Okay. Or recon up, which is what I did.
Wow!
Yeah,
but I can understand because you're out of vision, so this is actually really good.
Yeah, I had this deep recon and I had no vision over here except for this dude. I just felt like, I don't know what's going on. We're about to get into like high-tech units. I want more vision. And of course, again, like the builds lined up. Actually, I could have done infantry tank for the same cost, but no, I wanted visions. That's what I went for. And then you went tank, anti-air, recon. Well, one of your anti-air just got smacked, so that makes sense. And then
yeah,
another recon over here.
I overkilled the anti-air this game because you will see, but I overkilled the anti-air because I know in this map bombers are really, really strong, and I was really scared, and I don't want a fighter to counter a bomber, especially in this map, because there are so many engagements that you need the tank power. So in this map, I think the anti-air are much better than the fighter, except if your opponent has some stupid unit called the stealth. But outside of the stealth, the unit that should not exist, in this map I don't see why you should make a fighter, because yes, you have like 25-ish, 27-ish I think. Yes, it's a lot, but if you make a fighter, then you have like 7k, and with 7k, what do you get? 1 recon to infantry, 1 APC to infantry, so you will fall behind in terms of firepower, and there's like a lot of action in this game, in this map, I believe, because both players have access to so much money that there's a lot of action everywhere. So if one turn you have like 2 infantry late in the game, in this map I think this is the moment you actually lose, except if you are already winning and these extra infantry are just killing your opponent more. But if you are behind and you're into making like 2 infantry the same turn, that means you probably lost in this map.
Okay, sure. Okay, so what I see here is like 2 free-ish looking tanks, but I don't know what's in the back. So we'll see how well I defend these tanks. I think that I kind of like move everything to.
Yeah, you really slap me around. My downfall is only starting.
Okay, so I probably should have made that recon move earlier, but like this is something I talked about last time too, I think, which is like moving your vision so that you can see as much as you can first, and then like get as much vision as you can in your early moves, and then make your attacks later. So I see this, and I'm like, okay, there's a lot of empty space, and there's 2 tanks, and I'm like, am I doing better than I thought I was? Like, where's all the stuff?
All the stuff died.
I'm like, okay, I'll just tentatively attack everything.
Yeah, this turn like really sealed your victory. You already won before that, but this really sealed it. Oh. And I was so sad and pissed off. I was like, no, my vision! I wanted that copter!
Yeah.
I can't have it! I'm in range. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I kind of realized after the fact that like this actually it was kind of important that there was like some ordering I could have done to put a unit there, I think. But yeah, anyways, this is like a pretty strong move and it worked out well. So I mean, if we look at the values here, it looks like I'm winning pretty hard on both unit count and unit values.
This is exactly what I was speaking about earlier. Once Sammy fall behind in terms of unit count, she lost. That's basically what's going on.
So this is kind of like the death throes of the game where you're just kind of A-clicking everything and then...
This is exactly the glitch I was talking about now. The replay broke. So we need to refresh.
Oh yeah. Oops, okay.
But that's fine.
Okay, so you yeet, and then this is the turn where I reveal my Neo tank because I was looking for a good spot to, and I see, okay, I can like one-shot this tank. I can kill the anti-air with my other stuff, and it's just going to be a good time. So almost everything here dies, and then yeah, I clear out the B-copter as well, and then clear off some stuff. So yeah, this is like, at this point I was like, okay, there's no way he wins this. I have too much stuff going on. Neo tank comes in to kill with a power, and I realize, okay, with a super I can just like, I'm already convinced the game's over, but I can convince him with a Neo tank on Neo tank hit. And that happens, and then everything else is dead. Unit count is like half of what I have in unit values.
And then I resign.
Next turn resign, yeah, there you go. Okay.
So, man, thank you a lot for coming in here again, and that was very fun. I enjoyed this game much more than the other one. Even if I knew the outcome like by day 12 or 13, I still enjoyed my time much more. Did you thought we had a better game this time around than the previous time, or it was as bad both times?
No, this one was big. The beginning, you had an advantage, and I was like, okay, well, let me just like think about how to deal with this. I go 4 tanks versus 2, and sort of like carefully moved around until I found like a good opportunity to like out tactics you, which is basically what it was. It's just like, that's what it is. Like sometimes, like, you know, you just build an intuition for what attacks work and what don't, and that if it's good intuition, then like you can get yourself out of a lot of bad situations just by having the right tactics.
Yeah. Is there anything you would like to add, or anything you would like to plug?
Oh gosh, I'm like, I don't have very much to plug right now. I'm just check out my YouTube channel if you want to, DPSI Duck, and it has yeah, Advanced Wars videos and stuff. It's gonna be a while before I upload, and it's been a while since I have, so
it's in the description below if guys are interested. I really highly suggested. That guy is a good guy, and he does good content. And he is a good player. Everything is good, right?
Thank you.
So, as I said, in the description below. So, before we close, anything else to add?
No, thanks so much for inviting me on.
Thank you for coming in. Anyway, I hope guys enjoyed. A like, comment. Don't hesitate to go over DPSI channel. And see you next time for more Advance Wars content. Have a great day all. And